Robert County, 2410 Pearl Street, Munhall. I have a couple questions for you, gentlemen. Have you gotten a FICA tax straightened out? Because as far as I know, there was no FICA tax paid out for all employees in Munhall Borough for 2011, 2012. Were never given to Social Security. And I can tell you right now, as of last week, as of 6 days ago, there are still 3 employees calling Social Security now and saying they have zero money in their accounts for 11 months.
I'll start one answer to that. When this first came to light, Chief Campbell brought it to my attention that there were several officers that went online and opened an account to see what was paid into their Social Security. We had a couple of retirees, or at least one retiree in Public Works, that also said that his FICA tax, they told him that there had been no FICA tax paid into his account for 2 years. I immediately went into a panic and I was sick to my stomach because the levity of that could be several $100,000.
I heard $200,000.
No, it actually could be about $273,000.
Well, yeah, I like that too.
I went to Tim Little's office the next day and I said, Tim, what's the FICA paid? He said, I don't know. So I pulled bank statements personally to see that the FICA tax was paid. Quick pay, $25,000. Quick pay, $27,000. 2 times a month, we average about between $51,000 and $55,000 a month in Social Security payments. They were on our bank statements. The Social Security payments were made. The difficulty came in. There was apparently a year-end 941 report that the IRS didn't have, which broke down what we paid by individual employees, so they couldn't assign it to individual employees. Now, Harry's been working on that for the past couple of months. Harry, do you know where that's at this point?
Back in December, I spoke to Social Security, because payroll was done in-house. Nothing was submitted to the local taxes, the state taxes, to the Social Security Administration. So I called each of them, asked them, what do I need to do? Apparently everything was paid, but the W-2s were never submitted to the Social Security office and to the local taxes and the state tax. That's why I asked for everybody's W-2s for 11 and 12, so that we could do that. The person that I spoke to the Social Security Administration, she said, everything has been paid, it's just a reporting error. And that's why when you pull up your Social Security, it shows a zero balance. I just looked, we did the first batch on January 6th of this year, and then we did a second group of employees about 3 weeks ago. I had an employee come in, we went onto the Social Security website, I signed them up, and we went and looked in the January 6th file that we submitted.
One meeting, please.
It wasn't uploaded yet, or they didn't plug it in. So, you know, I'm more than happy to sit down with any employee that wants to come in. We'll call the Social Security Administration and put it on speakerphone, and that'll be their answer.
Nothing against you, Mr. Paul, I believe you. But I'll tell you what, when I asked this question 6 months ago to Mr. Little, I got the exact same answer. Okay? I don't want to tell you, I got the same exact same answer 6 months ago from Mr. Little. I don't know, I don't know who to believe. Now, I'll move on to my next question. Calm. Why was Excalibur sending calm checks to the manager's office and having the checks reissued as payroll checks with deductions taken out? And since that was done, you plan on reimbursing the employees for deductions that were taken out of their paychecks. And if you don't believe that it happened, check your minutes, council meeting August. It was discussed then.
Well, I know that, let me stop the clock. I know that it's done in different ways. Housing and Redevelopment Insurance Exchange, who was our work comp carrier prior to October 1st of 2013, did it one way. The state fund does it another way. It's also paid in a different way if it's a policeman on temporary total disability, which they're entitled to 100% of their wage, not just the 66 2/3%. The state sends the check to the employee. If it's a police officer on temp total, then we make up the difference. We make up the other third of the pay to bring them to 100%. If it's not a police officer, they don't get anything additional from us, and that check is sent, again, by the state fund directly to the employee. Now, Housing and Redevelopment Insurance Exchange took a different tack. They sent the check to us, and then that check was put into our bank account, and the full amount was paid to the police officer. That's my understanding of how it worked. Now, if there's a discrepancy where we took taxes where we shouldn't have because somebody didn't know to do that, maybe a former manager didn't know, if they didn't know the tax, it'll be reimbursed. They have to bring that to our attention. Okay?
Okay. Also under call, and I know your answer was the general fund because it always is. But since you had 10 employees off workman's comp last year, and their salaries were budgeted, but weren't paid by the borough, where did that money go?
Well, the money stays in the general fund. When you have somebody that's not working.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Typically, I think, and maybe the chief can speak to this, when you have somebody on comp, you don't just eliminate the shift necessarily. You have to pay somebody to go out and do the shift, do we not?
Sometimes we would have to move someone from a different shift. There are costs involved. Sometimes we just work a short shift. So it depends.
And sometimes we're paying overtime to work that shift. So the police budget is kind of up and down because of overtime, because people get hurt. But it does go back into the general fund.
Okay, one more question. Was Munhall Borough fined for violation of child labor law? And if they were, how much?
I never heard of such a thing. Yeah.
And the reason I asked you, when you had 2 underage summer help working garbage, and working in the garbage truck last summer, and it was clear violations of the child labor law.
Well, do we have any juveniles working on the garbage trucks? What's that?
I think on recycling.
On recycling? Who would have been?
I think they were underage, I think they were 18.
No, they were underage. I know it wasn't personal.
I don't know anything about that, so we haven't been contacted by the NLRB.
Okay, guys, one more thing, because while you were answering my clock recording.
Well, I don't know, Mr. Taylor, you keep pounding me every day on.
I want to go to the, even though I appreciate you and Mr. Stewart apologizing to the resident.
I didn't apologize, that was Mr. Brennan.
Well, I want to say to you, Mr. Lloyd, I don't appreciate anybody, especially my council president, going in the paper and saying that the residents in Munhall have a mob mentality when they're attending a public meeting with their concerns about what kind of... Mayor, my if you were elected to represent us,
Mr.
it
Taylor.
doesn't go the other way around.
Mr.
Hold on.
I appreciate that, but this is the people's
You
meeting,
people are the ones
and we're here for
that
the
lost the
residents of the borough
$500,000
of Munhall,
of taxpayers'
and
money.
We have work to do, and I don't know, I mean, I don't know, I don't have a Webster's dictionary here, but what I saw a couple last month appeared to me to be a mob.
I'll tell you what, if you think that's a mob, you're lucky these people, you're lucky that these people are straight they have. Because you're like they didn't go to this council chamber and throw you all out on your ears. Good job you didn't
I
do.
appreciate that. I appreciate your sentiment. Thanks for coming.
Don't worry, I'll be back every month.
That's fine.
I'm not going away.
Next month.
And I'm going to tell you what, this is not a threat sheet, this is a promise. If any of you ever talk to me, like you talk to some of these residents in these meetings, I'll show you a mob mentality.
Okay. Now, we move on to our section of, before I move on to comments on agenda items.
There's another speaker yet, Val.
Mr. Brennan. I'm sorry. It wasn't bad faith, ladies and gentlemen. let him do this, because when I was a new councilman here, I did it myself, so I couldn't say no.
Yeah, I just told them that you did that years ago.
I wasn't aware of that.
You're not first, Brennan.
Another guy in West Michigan.
You get, the goal last was first.
All right, so is my clock started?
The microphone work?
First question I have is, what are we gonna do with number 3 fire hall? Is it gonna sit there and just keep,
I hope it's got my phone to call you this
Excuse me. Second question I have is, why do we do business with people that we are in litigation with? I think that's a bad policy. I think it just adds for more litigation. I think it puts us out there to be, just puts more, what is it? What do I want to say?
Liability.
Liability, thank you. 2011, 2012, 2013 audits. We didn't do them for the borough. You guys didn't do it. I wasn't part of that. So, in going forward, when was the last audit we did?
2010.
Okay? And in doing that audit, do we need a contract to do an audit?
Yes.
We do. Is it a bid process?
It can be.
It doesn't have to be.
It has to be. Professional services.
Correct.
Okay? But it does have to be voted on by the council, am I correct?
It does.
So do we have an auditor that we're going to use now?
We have been in discussions with our last auditor, Hosek and Speck, and the reason that they were the most obvious choice is because they were aware they did the last audit, so a lot less pre-work had to be done. Harry's been in negotiations with them, as well our accountant has been here, we're cleaning up our books. We think in order for us to have an audit done, we have to reconcile our cash account, and our cash account was not reconciled. And we're about 2/3 of the way through getting our cash account reconciled, and as soon as that's completed, we'll be taking a vote here probably next month to retain Hosek and Speck to do audits for the 3 years.
Okay, so we are going to take a vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, because the code tells us we have to have a 2/3 vote. Am I correct, Mr. Auditor?
To approve the audit?
No, to approve an auditor. It
Yeah.
has to be passed by 2/3 council vote.
I've been doing this for 27 years, but I can't tell you with 100% certainty that that's correct.
I'll read it to you in a couple
Okay,
minutes.
thank you.
Okay. I'm going to go to the question that was asked to me at the last meeting by Donna Dreschman about, do I think it was a sunshine law violation? Where are you at? I think it was an obvious sunshine law violation. I think that it was a terrible, terrible thing that we did, not inviting the public to the meeting. I think it's a clear violation. I think this book right here that has all the little laws of the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Code of the boroughs, it states clearly here what the sunshine law says, and I'm just going to read the first paragraph to you. Okay? The General Assembly finds it the right of the public to be present at all meetings of agencies and to witness the deliberation, policy, and formulation of decision-making of the agencies. And the agency could be any portion of the borough. Not only the council, but a committee as well. The committee is part of the agency. I challenge each and every one of you to get a book and start reading what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do. Okay? This book is the only book that the borough has, and it's dated when Dick Thornburg was here. Okay? That's terrible. There's no reason why we don't have the right information every councilman should have it. We should be ashamed of ourselves. You guys need to do due diligence. Okay? I'm very upset about that. I was very upset to be put into a position, sitting on council, going to a public meeting, and going to the meeting and not being proper. That meeting should have been advertised, and it should have been, when it was put out to bid for the TAN loan, it should have been advertised for that, and it should have been advertised for the opening process. And there's no excuse for that not to have happened at all. And I was embarrassed to be a part of that situation. And that will never happen again, guaranteed. Since then, I've called this meeting, because I didn't call the last meeting. I'm calling the meeting every month for the Finance Committee, which I'm the president of the Finance Committee. And it's open to the public for everyone to come and see what we're doing here at the town of Munhall. Everyone should have input. It's a public meeting. We need to see what we're doing. We're not hiding anything from anyone. Everyone is welcome to come. Did everyone come here? They saw a little sign on the door. Did everyone see the sign on the door? Everyone is welcome to come. The days of meetings that the public is not invited to are over. That's not allowed by the state law of Pennsylvania. There are exceptions, like the meeting earlier. And I will not be a part of it. I was embarrassed last week by that, and I'm upset by that. So I'm done with that issue, and I apologize if I got you guys a little upset. But you know what? We need to change the way we work with this council. It's not appropriate, and it's not going to happen any longer. I want to move on to a couple other things. The 911 rescues is such an important issue. I met with everyone there, and there's so much to do there. I don't know all the ins and outs of how the system works, but I think that the 911 people were supposed to be here. I don't know if anyone's camera on. They may have backed out on us.
They'll come next month.
Next month, too late. They should have been here tonight. They told me they would have. I've talked to several of the firemen. They are aware of what's going on. In my meeting with them, they're ready to go. You know what their big problem is? They need the equipment. They don't have the equipment they need. The police department is about 90% ready to go. Close. The fire guys, they need the equipment. I have a list here of stuff they need. From my meeting at 911. The main things that they need are the pagers, and they also need MDTs. Correct. The MDTs, they need about 10. And they need 10 mobile units, radio units. Are we all aware of that?
16.
We're aware of that. 16 what?
They're submitting the proper reports for the chief who's coordinating the
Good. So you're spearheading this? Dan?
I'm on it.
Chief is?
I was Chief Cliff, Chief Sergeant, myself, have been meeting with the people from 911.
Right.
I believe you received a report
Right.
from myself and from Chief Patrick. We're moving at the pace we're able to move at this point.
All right, so Matt, I was in the meeting, Matt took me there. He's the fire chief. And these are some of the things that he told me they need. The knock system, for their key knock system needs changed. Never even knew that system existed. It was really enlightening. The whole system, you know, the fire guys, you firemen really have a lot involved with what you're doing. And I was really impressed with all the things that you need there. You know, you need a lot more stuff than the police stuff. So we got to get this stuff for these guys, you know, one way or another. want to do it, that's up to Dan. The last thing I wanted to talk about was back to the audits again. You know. Oh, I want to talk about the police pension. That's what I wanted to talk about as well. Everyone's spoken about everything that I had to speak about, so I'm sort of double talking everything, which I'm a little bit wondering about. But there's a couple things I want to know about the police audit or the police pension fund. Who is on the pension board? Do we know?
I don't know who all the members are. Dick, who else is on the
I'm on it, Andy Bodadian is on it, the police policy committee men are on it, the chief of police is on it, don't worry, that's on the police side. On the other side, Mr. Beatty, we lost him, he was a representative for the non-uniform workers. There are some other members I haven't seen for years.
Aren't there supposed to be 2 council members on it?
Yes, the 2 council members, I believe is Mr. Rob Falls is one of them, and I believe Mr. Lloyd is the other one. Is that correct, Mr. Lloyd?
I believe it was Ricky Bodadian and
Mr. Ballard.
We were. So, when was the last meeting that the pension board has met?
November.
Do you give a report? Do you give a report to the borough?
We addressed the concerns that were expressed by the Auditor General's office and we're taking corrective actions to be in compliance with what they request.
That's not what I asked. I asked, do you guys give a report? Does the pension board give a report to the borough?
No, they haven't in the past.
Okay, they're supposed to. So, I heard you talking about all this stuff about the pension plan. Who is the administrator of the pension plan?
PNC Bank.
And what's their obligation?
Their obligation is to invest the money in accordance with the way that the pension board approves based on deliberations.
Okay, who makes a decision to tell the borough that there's supposed to be an MMO made? What's an MMO mean?
Munhall and Associates is our actuary. They're one of the largest municipal actuaries in the state, and they make that determination and they tell us how much money we have to pay into the pension funds in addition to what the state gives us and any deductions that we make from employees' paychecks.
So what you're telling me, from the information I gathered from you, was that our actuary didn't tell us to take the deductions from the paycheck?
No, our actuaries did tell our manager that deductions were supposed to start. Understand that for many years, because the pension fund was overfunded, we never had an MMO come in and said you have to pay money into the pension fund. It was self-funding for many years. Then what happened in 2011, we had a borough manager that didn't have a lot of experience, and an MMO, minimum municipal obligation, was issued by our actuary and said that we need to start, we had to put $18,000 in the pension fund. Understanding that, the manager should have begun deductions from the police officers up to 5%. Is it
the manager's duty to do that?
It is the manager's duty once we get to the MMO.
It's not council's duty?
It's an administrative detail. We get an MMO, they start the deduction. So they didn't do the deduction in 2011. It was $18,000 that we did not collect from our police officers.
In what year?
2011.
Okay. What about 2012?
In 2012, we got an MMO of $102,000. Again, the manager didn't make the deductions from the police pays.
So you don't see that? You guys don't see that? The borough doesn't see that? The council doesn't see that ever?
We weren't looking at their paychecks looking for 5% to be deducted. We assumed it was being done correctly.
So then you made a payment into the borough made this obligation, right? Is that what you guys are saying?
Well, what I'm saying is,
$400,000?
no, we did make our pension payments, but we're short. One of the reasons that we have a cash flow issue that culminated at the end of last year is because the taxpayers have paid in $168,000 in pension money into the police pension fund that should have been deducted from police pays and wasn't. So it caused us a $168,000 shortfall that we had to make up. We don't have that money, but we paid it.
Did the legal counsel pay to pay it? Or did
We didn't ask.
the borough manager just pay it?
It just got paid. To the extent that we paid our MMOs, we paid the money on their behalf.
Okay. And that was the legal right thing to do.
No, but there's a difference of opinion on that. I think that the taxpayers are owed their $168,000 back.
Okay? And Mockenhoff is the fellow that reports to the borough and tells us that we need to make an MMO payment.
William Assay, he's the president of the company.
Okay?
He personally does ours.
Okay. All right, well, that's all the questions I have. I just wanted to get a little information from you guys, because honestly, I have not known how this system works, and I've called several people. I did call Chief Parker today and ask him how some of the information of this, so I was a little bit more aware of it. I think that the police pension board needs to report to council about what's going on. I think everyone needs to be a little bit more aware of what we're doing with that.
We had a report come in, I think, just today from our actuaries that Harry's going to be distributing. Came in yesterday.
But
I
thank you.
hope I answered your questions.
Well, I mean, they're tough questions, but honestly, they're questions that I, as a regular citizen, would never have known to ask until about, last week when Nick Gavrilla started informing me about stuff, and I told him that I would talk with Mr. Parker, and I did talk with Mr. Parker. I told you guys I would go look at 911. I did go look at 911. The 911 system was great. So, thank you guys.